After teaching families for a whole bunch of years, just a few years ago, actually, as we came back from virtual learning through the pandemic, I added friendship as a topic in families class, and I saved it for the end because, especially as we make our way through families, not everybody, right? You heard me say it. Not everybody's families, puppies and rainbows, get along, everything's hunky dory. And a lot of times we end up going through our lives, even if we have the most wonderful, idealistic family ever, we oftentimes go through life creating relationships with people that are just as important as family members, if not more so sometimes. Like that, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And so the other interesting thing that I have realized in now like solidly middle agedness is we're busy. Are you familiar with this? And a lot of times our friends are like the people around us. And when we're not, and like we can adore them and spend so much time with them. But when like life happens and maybe somebody moves away or somebody has kids at different ages or something like that, like it can be really, really hard to keep friendships just as meaningful and going, and it takes work, right? And so that's kind of the other reason that I have included and want to discuss and think about friendship, because it doesn't just happen, right? Or at least it doesn't just keep going, even if it kicks off kind of just happening. So here are some facts and figures about friends. So apparently, after spending 30 hours together, people consider themselves like, sort of friends, casual friends. But after 50 hours spent together, they'd be like, oh, this is my friend, right? So the difference between 30 and 50. Now, a good friend is not until 140 hours, which I don't know how many days is that? If it was like 24 hours a day, which is why sometimes, like, have you ever gotten a chance to go to a camp or part of your extracurricular activities growing up, like where you were together for a whole bunch of days in a row and it like intensifies friendship because you're spending so much time together. And then your very best friends, apparently, all it takes is 300 hours. Um, but really, it makes sense when you see this that, yeah, um, as you do get to spend more and more time with people, that it does kind of change your perception of how close you are because you know them better. You've laughed about more stuff, you've discussed more things, and all those types of things. So, that idea of the time frame sometimes that it can take to create friendships. Now, then, there's something called Dunbar's number, which is apparently like the amount of people we can possibly handle. So, apparently, we all have, I don't know, get out your phone, look at all of your contacts. Um, we can only have like 150 emotional connections, so says Dunbar. We have these five people. Have you ever heard of the thing like you are like a amalgamation of the five people you're closest to? But like we apparently can have five people that we're really close to them. And then we can have 15 that we're pretty darn close in regular contact with, and like 50. So what stop for a second and think about like do you know who your five are? Do you know you're 15? Like, who's your 50? I don't even think I've ever thought of it, and I've been lecturing on this for the last few years. How does it happen? But you know what I mean? Like, thinking through who are your people? And then, because it kind of adds up, right? Those slightly less connected people, but the people you know, no matter what. I, like I said, especially coming out of virtual learning and the pandemic, um, I'm going to ramble while you look at this information. This is coming from this book, Big Friendship, which I totally read. And then I knew my friends. Like I have a group. I'm so lucky that I have different groups of friends, right? Of one group of friends in particular, three other women. Um, I knew they're all moms. I'm a mom, but my daughter is 10, 12, 13, 15 years older than all of their kids. All their kids now are like junior high, high school teenagers. And I have a daughter closing in on 30. Even though she, because of her intellectual disability, is kind of still like a teenager, but that's here nor there. But my point is, I don't have the sports teams, or my daughter was a cheerleader, so we were constantly busy with cheerleading. Like, I don't have that level of hands on parenting that they have. So I knew that they'd be too busy to read this book. But I was really excited about everything I read in it. So I was seriously, I kid you not, I was a nerd who went through because I read it on the Kindle. So I had all my highlights saved. I gathered together all my highlights and sent them like a one-page document. And I was like, look at all this good stuff about it for friendship. I know you won't have the time to read it, but like I wanted to put together a summary. I treated them like students, I guess. I don't know. But they bring up really, really good points that we act like, you know, we have these non-negotiables in our lives that you have to work, you to have your family, you know that like we act like friendship is optional when friendship provides so much for us. And so it's really, really interesting to think about like, can we build in um, like celebrations and traditions that even as people get busier and busier and busier and busier, that like, no, this is what we do. We stick together because of this stuff. Things that I have done as I kind of go through and share another like book that I read, all nerdy about friendship. Um, Things that I have done very, very purposely to nurture friendships in my life. I have elected myself the like, I set reminders. I am the bugger of like the friends that there's my college group of friends that starting 5 years ago, as people were hopping on Zoom and FaceTime and stuff like that, again during the pandemic, I, said it'd be so much fun to get together via Zoom. And now for the last 5 years, every single, month to 6 weeks or so, we literally use my Cal State Long Beach Zoom. We hop on Zoom and we're in Northern California and out in Hemet and Washington, D.C. and North Carolina. And it's six of us all together, four, like actually sorority sisters, five sorority sisters, seven of us, and two husbands, mine included. And it's the cutest thing because Sean and Matt, like they're such nerdy, cute little friends. I love it. But anyways, I'm the person that I set the reminder and I send out like, when can we get together at 5:30 on a Sunday? This Sunday, next Sunday, and we've kind of created a ritual. And it has been, we actually, oh my gosh, I will cry. Um, we got to get together, like everybody flew in, stayed at our house a couple months ago, and it'd been the first time we'd all been together in like 17, 18 years, and it was amazing. It was just the most. I remember I sat on my couch and my house was full. And I think it was actually Matt, who I just referred to. I looked at him and I'm like, it's really amazing to be in a moment that you know you're going to look back on and it's going to make you so, so happy. That's what friendship does, right? When you've got those friends, and I know this is the thing, I know not everybody has amazing friends that they can always count on or that they adore, that you haven't found your people yet. I promise you they're out there. But kind of thinking through like what's important to you, and it's I guess like dating and everything else, right? You kind of got to put yourself out there. You got to try. The other thing that I have done, I am a total cheesy nerd, and you can totally judge me, but oh well. You'd be my friend. Um, I live on Franzen Avenue, like Franzen, like F like Frank, and I had an idea um, to gather together. We were good friends with all of our neighbors. 20 plus years ago, one of our neighbors said we should do one of those progressive dinners, where you go to somebody's house for appetizers, somebody's for main course. So we do a holiday, second Saturday of December. We have done that progressive dinner for 20 plus years. So my little cul-de-sac of 18 houses, we are friends with almost everybody. A couple people resist, but like wave, we know everybody's name, like all that type of stuff. So on Franzen, 3 summers ago, I figured, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm so cheesy. But I was like, hey, what if like during the summer, like we just put out some tables and chairs in our driveway and like we call it Friends and Fridays. And like we just like either bring a snack or don't bring a snack. Just come hang out for, an hour, maybe a couple hours. So we've gone through 2 full summers of Friends and Fridays now, where Sean and I put out chairs and tables on our driveway. I think it's like 6:30 on Fridays. He made this like kind of the stand where we could string, those cool cafe lights over our driveway. Um, and I have laughed more. We have told stories. We have like we never starve on the street. Like we always come together even when we're not trying with tons of food. And it's just because I came up with a cheesy idea and people bought in. You deserve that, right? You deserve to have that kind of community. We all do. But sometimes you got to be the person that is willing to say, hey, what if we try this? What if we do this? You got to be the person to set the reminders to reach out. I mean, I literally have one of the categories of reminders. Maybe you're not a I think the theme at this last lecture is Professor Griffin's a nerd, but whatever. Um, I think keep in touch. Keep in touch is one of the like folders of my iPhone reminders that is the people that I want to make sure that I am texting and checking in with, or maybe a phone call or something like that. Um, Far and wide, depending on where they are. Like one of them is a student that took two classes with me that now is becoming an Episcopal priest in Philadelphia and has lived in Philadelphia, but I've gotten to meet her whole family. And it turns out she went to the same high school as my daughter. And she and her dad, her dad and I actually went to the same little private Catholic elementary school and knew all the same nuns. And like, these are the types of things that happen when you get to just know somebody. And the reason why I got to know the students so well is because, again, during virtual learning, during the pandemic, would come to office hours every single week. Even like we still, when it ended up being Thanksgiving break, and I didn't have office hours, we still jokingly totally hopped on Zoom and hung out while I was cooking Thanksgiving dinner. Like I got to know our whole family. Like, it's funny how that works. Those people that stick with you and stay with you. And I totally need to text her because she and I will hop on FaceTime every once in a while now. And I haven't done it yet in the last few weeks because the semester's been crazy. So this is like the least facts and figures sociological lecture that I hope really, really gets you thinking about what you want for friendships and relationships and connections and humor and community and all the good stuff. Our world feels like it can be increasingly tough at times, right? And there's so much expected of you. The pressure, and I'm so sorry that our society is doing that. So please, please, for yourself, to take care of yourself. Try to find your people. And if you have your people, hold on to your people and just be good to yourself and each other. Like, that's the good stuff. And by the way, you can always, like, years from now, text me. Like, please know, like, as a teacher, to somehow get like a random email from a student out of the blue because they were thinking of something, like, there is nothing better. There's absolutely, like, that is the biggest, kindest, amazing reward ever, to like that something mattered, that something reminded that you wanted to say hi, like, like that, those types of things. Even if there's that random person that you adored that you have fallen out of touch with, be the person that totally reaches out and be like, I know this is out of the blue, but I've been thinking about you. And my nerdy professor in my family's class had a whole lecture on friendship. As we've had an asynchronous class where it can be hard to create connections, I want to kind of take this last minute and thank you. Thank you for being good friends to each other in discussion boards and everything else. Thank you for your caring and consideration and your hard work and everything else, because it has been an absolute joy to, even though for the most part it's getting to see all these written words that you have put together, but just that energy and kindness and moments that you are saying, gosh, this is right in front of me as far as family and relationships and love and parenting, all this type of stuff. And, I hadn't thought of it before, all right? This is what I want and why I want it. Like, thank you for all of that. Thank you for being willing to share with me. Thank you for being all the amazing people that you are. And I really, really hope that you take some time to nurture those relationships with the people that mean most to you.